Many times people think about governance as an afterthought, AI as an afterthought, or even traditional classical AI as an afterthought. But they were all embedded in the system, in the EIQ platform already. So it is not added later. So you shouldn't be sacrificing control just to gain speed, right? So that was our thinking.
So it's really beautiful to watch how these agents basically talk to each other and help each other to create this entire application within a matter of hours.
Welcome to the EIQ Waves Podcast, where we explore what it truly takes to scale automation across the enterprise responsibly and intelligently. In each episode, we go beyond the buzzwords to bring you grounded insights from the leaders who are actively building, governing, and shaping the future of AI and automation in the real world. On today's episode of the EIQ Waves podcast, we're excited to welcome two innovators at the forefront of enterprise AI. Arun Hiremath, Chief Business Officer, EIQ 360 and Co-Founder, EvoluteIQ, and Darshana Navagare, Director of Product Management, Product as a Service, are driving the next generation of intelligent automation. Let's dive in.
I was wondering the other day, the automation, how a lot of people talk about AI, right? So, but then just a few years back, people talk about automation like, we did this automation or that automation, it saved so much. Then we were talking about RPA at that time, right? Whether it was more about recreating manual steps or just doing various key clicks, right? So that's what they were doing. And compared to that, right, so then there were some workflow automations that came along right after that, saying, we'll do little more than just the bots. What it ended up doing was that we created so many silos everywhere, right? So complete fragmentation. Like, let me take an example, right? So I was thinking, Darshana, we were talking the other day where some of these use cases, right? So especially in the healthcare revenue cycle management, almost every piece, whether it is processing a documentation, putting some rules, connecting to various systems, putting some, sending out emails or authorization notes, everything was different system or different automation. And they were all stitched together like a Frankenstein monster. And so then it is expected to work. And that was the automation. So it was such a really a pain, enterprise-wide pain, in terms of how you can put all these things together and expect them to work. And any small change would completely dismantle the system and then go back to the drawing board, right? So that example will stay with this, right? So whether it was across the board, whether it was invoice processing, whether it is customer onboarding, vendor onboarding, or whether order management, there were like multiple systems were put together and then expected them to work. And so it was an IT nightmare, operational nightmare, business nightmare, right?
Brought up very important point, and I think it connects something we hear from the customers all the time, right? Every automation that they build, they made sense at the given point of time, right? As the time passes over the years, this gets all things piled up. If anything breaks, then there is a question like, who owns this? The entire automation, overall workflows, who owns it? Who can audit it? Can we audit it? And what if it breaks overnight? Like, so bigger question here is the compliance, audit, governance, as well as the scale. Can we scale this entire silos together, right? And what if one scales up and one doesn't, right? So it's very real important question to basically answer for every lead in this in the enterprises.
The other thing also that was happening is all these teams were spending more time trying to integrate all these various tools instead of working on improving the outcomes, right? Whether it was the original idea of automation was, okay, well, reduce the cost and can do more with the given resources. And all those things were thrown off because most of the teams were worried about putting these things together. When the change, one process changes, oh, we need to change 5 different systems, right? An approval flow changed, and then you are touching upon the actual flow itself, that application, the ERP system, the CRM system, so whatever that email system, everything needs to change. The rules need to change, right? And then there was a time where even for some particular piece, people were buying what is the best of this in the industry. So let's buy that tool, just that tool. Great, it does an amazing job for that particular purpose, but then it needs to connect to rest of the systems. So then now you're creating a technical debt from get-go, right? Automation is supposed to be helping, but here everyone was working on, fixing it. So it should actually, automation should work as like an infrastructure. It should be resilient, governed, observable, right? So it needs kind of I wouldn't say central model. It is a central control of what all is going on in the enterprise.
That's correct. And then now the pressure is only just going up and up. Customer expect real-time responses. Processes that used to take days now needs to happen in, matter of hours or minutes, right? But in the past, the automation tools were designed for a slower world. There were like batch processing that overnight happening is like batch processing overnight was acceptable fact. When manual handoffs between the system, that was okay. When one team owns like one workflow, that completely made sense. Now you need this automation that can handle more systems, more data, more edge cases, and all at the same time. Like tools most companies are relying on just weren't built on that, right? There is a constant tension. The business is running at the speed where automation is still slow. So this is the gap that fundamentally we are trying to fix.
Yeah, we were talking to the customers the other day where they had a system for analytics, they had a system for workflow, they had a system to connect to all the data. There were like 5 different data sources, so they had different connectors into various data sources, and then each of them had their own set of rules. Some of them were like over 300 scripts, and so a small change of the business threshold is changed, and then that needs to be a full change request, and then have an SI come in, and then have a months together work to change all this, and then get it done. So instead of enjoying and supposedly whatever the save time and money should have helped with the more newer innovation, here they were all worried and busy fixing these issues, right? So that was what the automation was. One of the thing that also the overall in the industry, what happened, 3 things happened. One was a cloud, happened, right? So whether it was just cloud first, the cloud native infrastructure, or something to move with the cloud from distributed data. That was one. And second was AI or enterprise AI became more and more practical. And then now people start talking about, well, you know what? So you need a scalable automation. So from AI being somewhere experimentation, suddenly where people are talking about, hey, how can I just schedule my whole day or my email, sending out emails or whatever, the calendar management. From there, now it is getting to, okay, well, maybe let's do something more with AI, right? So that the various changes that happen together from experimentation, now getting to the production. So the ChatGPT happened, right? So when ChatGPT happened, suddenly AI became everyone's day-to-day work, right? Everyone started talking about how can I do this from a personal thing getting into the enterprise world. So, but then that started, okay, now we had cloud, you had AI, and you have all these people with this tool, powerful tool given to them. Now, instead of having a centralized automation, and let's not go with silos, now you have a bigger problem with everyone doing these applications on their own, right? You don't need to write a code. You just tell the system to write the code, it will do. And then everyone is creating PRs, everyone is creating their own particular uh, applets. And the IT or the central system or the CIO and CFOs, they are now worried, hey, what is going on suddenly? They are losing all the control on an enterprise-wide scale, right? So we talked about, I think, some time back about having something like an operating system. Like in an operating system in a computer, it works, it doesn't care what applications are run, but it will help you give the visibility, reliability, scalability, making sure it is coordinates across the system, making sure everything works. Originally, when the automation silos that we were just talking about, people were not looking for, okay, are we looking at new tools, right? They're not looking at new tools. They're looking at how do I work with all these things as an orchestration layer. That's what they're looking for. Not another tool, not another a suite of products. It is more about how do I make sure I can make use of the cloud, I can make use of this AI, and at the same time, I want to have it across the enterprise.
Correct. I mean, I really like the idea of the OS. It completely really resonates with me, Arun. So, as you know, what makes OS powerful is basically it creates a common foundation for other services to connect and operate on top of it. Similarly, if you imagine the OS in the workflow layer, that there was the actual shift where because of this idea of the OS layer, we are actually we started thinking from moving from execution to the orchestration and make this OS as a core. And that's what design principle behind EIQ 360 that we are thinking about. And then there is this AI piece, like which we want to really clear about it. Like when people hear about like agentic AI, sometimes they imagine that they sometimes picture about a robot that just does whatever they want and you hope for the best. But that is not what it is. So if you see the term agentic automation that we are trying to build means we have built it means the system understands what you are trying to accomplish before even it does anything, right? There is a context. Context is super important in everything what you do. It knows the rules. It identifies where human needs to weigh in, and they acts within the boundaries of the business that is defined.
We talk about AI, and then at the same time, we also talk about human in the loop, right? Hey, having human in the loop, which I call it human in the lead, having that in, it's very important. But then AI can do so many things autonomously. So how do we make sure that it actually works in a way that we want it to work, right? And how does it know the context in a way we want it to know the context? The overall agentic orchestration, okay, does it democratize the automation? Yes, it does. But then it should be to the level where you define the outcome and do not get into the actual what is the most optimal workflow. Let the system, which has with the AI in this case, should be able to figure out what is the context, what is that you want to do, and then get that application done across the enterprise, right? And all you need to work on is like, how about I just explain it in just like, to chat GPT, I should be able to explain my itinerary, what my requirements are, and it should come up with a plan. So why not do it with in an enterprise world? So I want to create an onboarding application and I have this requirement. And then so it should be able to create a full requirement, ask me to tell me whether it is okay. So then I can change, fine tune it, and it should be able to develop, right? So that was the whole idea behind AI being the driver or the agents being the driver. But then how does that agent know exactly the full context. So there should be multiple agents. So how do we know all the agents should work together, right? It is not about just providing an AI to the employees or the resources to develop an application. It's more about how this is all going to work together in the context of your enterprise, an end-to-end flow, having a full governance. You set the rules and it should behave within the rules. And also at the same time, we talk about all these hallucinations, etc. So how do I know what AI is doing is the right thing, right? How do I know, make sure that it is going to scale when I am going to grow business? So instead of worrying about all that, I should be just focused on the business, and the technology should take care of uh, the context, the um, the end-to-end flow, as well as across the enterprise, whether it is different functions, different contexts. It should be able to understand and deliver the outcome to me. That's all I care, right? You were earlier saying, right? So when you said EIQ 360, we are working on this. So one of the things that also coming to mind was, hey, what is the cloud and automation and the AI and all this come together? It was all there. How is that we are thinking it differently? Because these are all the challenges we already have today, right? So everyone is trying to solve that. Now, how are we doing it? Let's get into that piece, right? So I'm very keen to tell the world how we are actually addressing these problems, because we have been talking about all the problems so far.
Like when we hear from these operational leaders and CIOs, they say, "Hey, we have already did our digital transformation of the our enterprises or organization. We are on the cloud. We have data. We have automation workflow, but still there is something it's not working. What is not working? So the thing that was not working, and they also invested in AI, by the way, tons of money, right? But what is not working is basically there is a dot. They were not able to connect the dots across all these things, right? And they were like, hey, we wanted AI, but not something that we need a team of data scientists. We wanted visibility and control, but we don't want to invest in army of IT people managing this whole platform, right? So they wanted basically a really smart operation layer sitting between me and our enterprises system. And that's where we introduced our AIQ 360 product. AIQ 360 is basically AI native enterprise automation platform built on Google Cloud and integrated with Gemini AI. It enables organization to design, deploy, evolve all intelligent business processes using the natural language, and not within months, but within days. So that's the power that we are trying to introduce.
Some people ask when we talk about, oh, we have this new product. So you guys talk about all the silo problems, etc. Now, how is that you are now coming in with a new product? So am I introducing another new silo just because you guys say so, right? So the way we looked at this whole problem was quite different, right? So if you think about it, as Darshana just now said, EIQ 360 will tell Gemini to say, hey, build me this application. So customer onboarding or vendor management system or invoice processing system, build me that. And then so it'll build the whole thing. So how is this not a silo? Now, how we are looking at it is, okay, here is the whole application flow, but it sits on a EIQ platform, which is like a puzzle piece, right? So now that alone, standalone works fine, connects to your various systems. It works perfectly fine for that particular purpose-built application. Now, tomorrow, you're thinking of, yeah, I have the invoice management. Now, let me connect my accounting system as well as vendor management. I'll build that too. So that comes in, another puzzle piece connects to this. So you now create a governance layer with the EIQ while you have all these applications running on top. So one, not only you're able to get these things done in days, as Darshana mentioned, but at the same time, these processes will evolve, right? So then you don't need to worry about do I go back? How do I connect this, etc.? You just continue building, and then it all gets connected across because of the platform that provides you a complete end-to-end control on the application that are running.
Exactly, plug and play architecture that we are trying to define here. So you have multiple workflows, you connect, you can actually remove it. Like, let's say, hey, tomorrow I don't want this business process, we can actually remove it. You don't need to overhaul the entire application that you are building. So it is very much simplified for business applications or processes to build on top of it. And as you refer, right, we were talking about this OS layer. This is exactly that we want to call ourselves as an OS for building the applications on top of EIQ platform. So you can build, you can even build AI agents to do your job, or you can use the internal agents. It's our proprietary AMA, which is agentic mesh architecture. It's a mesh of all the agents together, creating the mesh of these workflows. So it's really beautiful to watch how these agents basically talk to each other and help each other to create this entire application within matter of hours. I mean, it's really amazing how it comes into the life when you define in your natural language.
Many times people think about governance as an afterthought, AI as an afterthought, or even traditional classical AI as an afterthought. But they were all embedded in the system, in the EIQ platform already. So it is not added later. So it shouldn't be sacrificing control just to gain speed, right? So that was our thinking. And then platforms should grow without creating additional chaos. So it should be able to address your business, way the business grows, or at the same time technology grows. So why you change your overall business logic just because technology change, or whether it is they're now a new customer, a new region, but your overall business continues growing without worrying about the way the technology changes or whether it is a business change. Your intelligence is sacrosanct and it is still there, and then it continues growing with your business. That was the whole idea that we were trying to address, right? When we talked about DIQ 360, one of the question was, we partnered with Google. Why Google? Why Google Cloud, right? Why not anyone else? So one of the things is that Google is doing some amazing stuff in terms of providing all these services, whether it is Vertex, whether it is Gemini, of course, Gemini Enterprise, and all the scalability things like Cloud Run and PubSub and all these various services. Many customers are asking the experts or system integrators to build something together for them, or they have their own big engineering teams that are doing it. What if a customer does not have this luxury of calling the big SIs, or they do not have a big engineering team or IT team? So in such a case, how about we provide this power of EIQ platform, the EIQ 360, on top of Google services, which are integrated. It is built on the Google. So that way you can get the best out of both EIQ 360 as well as Google services, right? For example, whether it is Vertex AI, gives you the AI services for you, or a Gemini becomes your agent to build your complete help build your application with EIQ. And then Cloud Run, which will help you. The serverless scaling is possible now, right? Integrated ecosystem that provides this overall capability and then reduce the overall complexity as well, right? Now you can focus on this intelligence instead of infrastructure plumbing, or which particular services I should use, which one will help me as an enterprise, especially this medium enterprises which don't have a big engineering or IT teams. They can just focus on their business and let the EIQ 360 take care of the technology and the scale and reliability and security, all that, themselves.
If you see why we integrated with Google Gemini, right? It's everything, like scale is taken care of. governance is taken care of, audit is taken care of, right? And of course, with Gemini, the uh, the AI, artificial intelligence layer, has been taken care of. So, and along with EIQ 360, we are actually creating this whole package where you can just define what you need for your business processes and get it done.
So Google Cloud gave us that whole scalable foundation. The Gemini gives us the intelligence layer. And together, this enabled such a good model for us for the overall enterprise automation. It's not about just adding AI to automation. It's about rebuilding that whole automation for the enterprise, right? So from the ground up. So for example, when overall infrastructure, orchestration of various layers, and then AI, they all work in one system. Now you're talking about scaling the overall enterprise-wide automation without scaling the complexity. So you just focused on your the business application, not worrying about all this complexity and the chaos.
With EIQ 360, no coding required, no deep technical expertise required. The people who understand the business, your operation manager, finance lead, HR director, they can be the ones who will be driving the automation now and not waiting for the backlog for ITs.
When we talk about ease of use, right, it should not mean compromising on the control, right? So it's a simplified orchestration, but not sacrificing the governance. When we talk about, you should trust the governance and resilience, we are now building on a very powerful, secure, compliant system. So they are become foundational for us with working on the Google Cloud, right? And then when we talk about platform will scale with business, it's basically don't worry about the rebuilding of an architecture every time they grow. Hey, we are going from 100 employee organization to 1,000 employees, then you should not be worrying about the scale. So whatever the applications you built should be able to work. Your customers are now, instead of ordering 100, they started ordering millions. You should not change your applications. The applications should take care of this, right? But without paying so much upfront. So it should just scale along with the business. So that whole foundation of Google, as well as the EIQ platform, is what it enables these applications to be built that way, so that it is a scale, secure, and reliable
Exactly.
system.
So if you really zoom out, what we are really talking about is an alignment. Bringing the AI, workflows, people, and all enterprise systems together so automation can work seamlessly in the background. You don't need to worry about what's going on. It is not a product feature. It is just a different way of thinking about how this whole enterprise automation should work.
Overall, right? So whether it is internal or the technology, or whether it is various teams within the company, it's less friction when you're looking at this EIQ 360, more velocity and the speed, as well as the direction that you're going with, and the total control. And that's what we're trying to get. So when we talk about this modern automation, it should always accelerate your business, not slow it down, right? So you should focus on business outcomes, not worry about, hey, what is the baggage that I'm going to carry because of this skill that I'm going to get, right? The enterprises deserve the platforms that evolve with them, right? Whether it is, whether their skill, whether it is new businesses, or whether it is operational efficiency, whatever it is, the systems or the platform that they're relying on should be evolving with them. So what they are looking at is an intelligent, cloud native, and enterprise scale automation platform. And that's what EIQ 360 is.
Thank you for listening.
If you enjoyed this episode of the EIQ Waves podcast, don't forget to share, subscribe, and leave a comment. And stay tuned for brand new episodes that shape the future of enterprise automation.